cool. Awesome, that works. Why is that delay huge? Okay. Do I get the chat anywhere? I do. Okay. Yo, what's going on, everyone? Ooh. Don't need that audio on. Okay. All right, so this is my first time streaming from my actual computer. I'm not using my phone this time. So can everybody hear me? Is the audio good? Wow, this Instagram chat layout sucks. It puts your join notifications as the same color as when you comment. Like that's useless. So I have to actually I have to like look and see what's actually a comment, what's actually a notification. That's dumb. But hey, as long as you guys can hear me, that's pretty sweet. Let me get used to this. Cool. Event log. That's useless for me. Cool. So let's see. What's up? How's everyone doing? Yo, I go live and within like 30 seconds, people are already asking like crazy questions. I'll answer the questions I like. How was your day? Fantastic. Thank you for asking. Glad you guys can hear me just fine. Do you have any Linux certifications? Nope. Bash Temple OS. Those are two things that I like. Pretty awesome. Let's see. What does this do in Bash? The colon open parenthesis gives you a syntax error because you just opened a parenthesis there. Yeah. Any test taking advice? Learn the material and then the tests get easier. No, for real. Like, just the only way you get good at anything like that is like through practice and work. So that, like, sadly, that's my only advice. Man, I wish I could show you guys this interface that Instagram gives me to look at the chat. Like, it actually, it's really bad. There's got to be like an external Instagram chat thing because this is like a pain to look through. There's no way to like hide. I can turn off commenting for everyone. That's pointless, but I can't turn off like join notifications. I don't care when people join or leave. That doesn't do anything for me. This is so annoying. I'd Google it right now, but I feel like that's just a waste of time. Yeah, from a user perspective, I feel like it's the same thing. Like, I don't care if people are joining. If I had like 1 or 2 viewers, maybe it'd be kind of cool. But like, isn't that weird? Isn't it weird when you join someone's live and they call you out? Like, you haven't said anything, and they're just like, "Oh, hey, thanks for joining the live." Like, that's weird. I don't like that. Ever fooled around with Elixir or Erlang? Nope. I've used Riak in the past. So that's as close to Erlang as I became. Let's see. Watch your YouTube video on using AI and programming while learning. Couldn't agree more. And I'm going, oh, dude, that's awesome. Yo, I appreciate that so much. I'm going to use some of your arguments in a discussion my university is having for using AI in classes. That's awesome. I think that's great. Because that video was just me sort of spitballing. That was literally just me like dumping my opinions. If you don't use the Instagram APIs and make a CLI for Instagram live stream bash, who even are you? Honestly, like, I've done that in the past. I haven't done exactly that, but I found a way to get TikTok's live chat through the CLI, and that was so much better because I could filter out things that I didn't want. So like, yeah, I wouldn't mind that if I had like a CLI app. Like, check this out. I have OBS set up. So like, bam, I can turn on a terminal. Like there's a terminal up here. So if I just had like a stream of chat that way, that'd be awesome. Can you imagine if it was just like, user dot whatever says Hi, Dave. Like, that'd be super useful. Let me hide that terminal. Bam. Cool. Yeah. At what point am I a Unix wizard? I don't know. I don't know if anyone truly is. Yeah, I don't really know what the point is. It's just sort of a vibe thing. You kind of know when you get there. I'm working my way towards it. What's the difference between, or what's the differences in usage of dollar at sign and dollar star? Dollar at sign? No, wait, I hid the terminal. Now I'm talking about it. This is all of your positional arguments broken up as an array. This is all of your positional arguments joined together as a string based on the IFS. So this is to stringify it and separate it by probably spaces. This is to actually treat it like an array and loop over each element. That's the difference. What is, and then this person just writes a fork bomb. Pretty cool. HTTPS requests in raw bash. Hang on tight. I'll answer that question. Don't worry. Yeah, do a kickflip. Yo, what's up, the lucky? You're not the only one who wants to see that. What is find/iname and find/name? -iname and -name, the only difference is I is for case insensitive. So for the find command, if you do -iname, you're saying that you don't care if it's uppercase or lowercase. -name means it needs to be an exact match. Mac terminal versus Ubuntu. I'm using the Mac terminal. I'm using iTerm too. Do you have a bash course? No. Okay, you know what? Let's I thought we would get to these later, but let's answer these questions now. Check out what I have for you all. That's not what I have for you all. LS. We have a to-do.txt, and I've been working on this. So I'll show you what's inside my to-do list. Let's cat to-do, and there we go. These are my goals. So I have 2024 goals and 2025 goals. So 2024, I got to figure out multi-streaming because it'd be cool to stream on like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, or whatever. More AI script code critique. So in the past, people have sent me scripts they've generated using like AI, like ChatGPT or Claude or whatever. So I want to do more critique videos. I have 2 in the pipeline. Brainstorm collab ideas / do collabs. So right now I have one person that I want to do collabs with, and we're brainstorming ideas. And I want to like do more collaborations or just any in general because they're fun and it's a great way to get audiences together on the same thing. Let's see, 15K subs on YouTube. I want to hit that goal by the end of the year. That's not really much. I don't have too much control over that. And I wanted to hit 150K followers on Instagram, and I'm already done. So like I did that. So I knocked Instagram out of the park, but YouTube, I'm at 12K subs. So can I get 3,000 subs in the next like 2 months? We're going to see. We're going to find out. At the current rate, no. But you know, we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I'd pay a reasonable price for a bash course. Yeah, that's awesome. I appreciate that. Yeah, like that would be, I don't know if I'm going to charge for a course or not. But yeah, we're jumping ahead to the 2025 goals. So for next year, we have Bash Beginners course. I don't know if I'll pay for it or if I'll just put it or make it paid or put it on YouTube. And then we have Bash Pure HTTPS requests. So people have wanted this. For anyone who doesn't know, I'll explain what it means. I made a video where I did a pure HTTP request in Bash. What I mean by pure is I didn't fork any external commands. So no curl, no netcat. I did it all in Bash by using /dev/TCP and speaking the HTTP protocol. The next video I want to do, and this is my goal for 2025, is my Bash pure HTTPS request. This is going to be significantly more difficult because I have to speak TLS basically. I want to shoot for TLS 1.3, maybe do some sort of elliptic curve stuff, maybe fall back to RSA if it's too hard. I don't know. I haven't looked into it too specifically yet. But the goal is to make a bash script that can speak TLS, HTTPS, and not fork any external commands in the process. So I mean, I think we're gonna have to re-implement like SHA-256 or some sort of SHA-SUM. We might even have to do floating point numbers, which Bash doesn't have. So it's gonna be crazy. That video is gonna be like, the first video was like 3 minutes. This video is gonna be like hours, like actual hours. But I think this will be like, quote unquote, my Everest. I feel like when I post this video, it could do really well because of just how ridiculous and over the top it would be. Like no one should attempt this. It's a dumb thing to do, but I love committing to the bit. So of course I'm going I'm gonna commit to it. Let's see. Started learning Bash because of you. It was a great decision. Yo, I appreciate that. That's super awesome. Heck yeah. Yeah, I think it's super useful. It's so funny. I get DMs from people, or I get people comment on my videos and they tell me they're unfollowing. And of course, the joke is this is not an airport. You don't need to announce your departures. But some people write like a whole paragraph on why they're leaving. And oh my God, some people are like, I'm leaving because like you only write Bash. You think Bash is the best language. You try to convince everyone to write Bash and they should only learn Bash and you only know how to program Bash. It's like, bro, not at all. Like, I like it. I think it's useful. I think people should learn it, but I know how to program in other languages. I don't think you should implement everything in Bash. That's why the Bash pure HTTPS request video is going to be ridiculous because you shouldn't do it in Bash. That's why it's going to be so funny. Also, excuse my voice. I don't know if I'm getting sick or something. I had a sore throat this morning and it hasn't really gone away. So kind of just dealing with a little bit of sick voice. Let's see. What are you drinking? Pepsi. Actually, Pepsi zero sugar. So trying this out. Tastes just fine. I think I'm old enough now where, zero sugar stuff tastes sweet enough. What programming language should I learn first? Python, Bash, or PowerShell? If your goal is like programming, if you're just getting into it and you say cybersecurity here, I'd say Python, actually. It's very versatile. You can do all sorts of stuff in it. Probably the most approachable. How'd you get a terminal up there? What terminal? What are you talking about? What did you do before content creation? The same thing I still do. I am not making anywhere. I'm not making money off content creation. I'm barely making anything. So I still have a job where, I work in the tech industry and I deal with freshly racked servers. That's pretty much all I say about that. So content creation is just a hobby, honestly. Let's see what else we got here. What's the difference between a platform engineer, infrastructure engineer, and network engineer? Do companies just nonsensically create these role categories? Tech's gotten big, so we need categories. I definitely think there's overlap between these categories. Like, I think a platform engineer and infrastructure engineer are probably going to deal with a lot of the same things. Network engineer, I would probably dealing more with networking stuff. Like, if I'm dealing with infrastructure, I might have some overlap with networking, but I'm not like creating VLANs and setting up routes and stuff like that. How are you recording on desktop? I'm using OBS. I'm on my Mac. I'm using OBS, and Instagram just gives you a stream key. So, thoughts on Perl? Oh my God, I have to replace a lot of Perl with Rust. I love Perl for what it was, and I think at the time it came out, it was awesome. I can respect a lot of what it does, but it's ugly. Get it out of here. Give me the newer stuff. That's how I feel about it. Let's see. I'm building one of Australia's largest GPU compute clusters. Want a job? Hey, I appreciate the offer. No, right now I'm happily employed. But if that changes in the future, I might ping you, or abuse my status as a content creator to get jobs. But yeah, right now I'm not looking. In fact, even if I left this job, I might be unemployed for a while. I saved up some money. I might just take a couple months off and kind of focus on content creation. I like this a lot. I would love to turn this into some sort of money-making thing. I'm taking InfoSec next semester, and then secure programming after that. Do you know if that's a lot of Bash? I have no idea, but I would guess not. I don't know what secure programming is. I don't know. I've never taken a class like that. But I would doubt it. Big fan from Costa Rica. Web dev, but always check out your stuff. Yo, that's awesome. Appreciate it. Welcome. That's awesome. Bash versus PowerShell, never understood the difference. There's a bunch of people that can explain it way better than I can. At the end of the day, PowerShell is dealing with actual objects you're passing between programs, whereas Bash is passing byte streams. That's one of the biggest differences. And Bash predates PowerShell by a while. Do you consider yourself a security guy or a network guy? Neither. I'm a systems guy. I like systems and operating systems. Stuff like that. So above, like, when I say like above hardware, and when I say above, I mean like abstractly above hardware. Yeah, like I know networking. It was part of my degree. I can do all the basic stuff. Like, I had a chance to go and get a CCNA when I graduated, and like I did all the like test exam, like the practice exams. I was like, okay, this will be easy, but I just have no use for it. I didn't want to do networking. I know a lot of it. I don't care for it. Networking bores me. I say that, and yet, like, at home I have a complex network. So I have like my Unify access point, right? Boop, boop, there. And it has like 3 different SSIDs. I think I have like 6 different VLANs at my house. I run my own DNS server, DHCP server, all that stuff. So I know it. I just don't. I don't really tend to do it. Networking stuff is just black magic for most programmers, isn't it? I think it is. I think for a lot of programmers, networking is black magic, and that's kind of the beauty of abstractions, that it can be. I think it's valuable to learn it, but I'm gonna say it's valuable to learn everything. If you've watched my channel long enough, you know, anyone's like, "Oh, should I learn this?" It's like, yeah, yeah, it's fun learning stuff, of course. What does ysap.sh mean? I don't know. Try curling it in your terminal and see what happens. You got your own pled server too? Do you mean Plex? If you mean Plex, then yes. I don't know what pled is. Let's see what we got here. What's your favorite kernel? That's an interesting question. Probably Illumos, UMOS. It's the open source fork of OpenSolaris after Sun was acquired by Oracle. It's what I use on my main like storage system. It's where I trust all my data. So I have like ZFS on it. I have Zones. I have Beehive for virtual or for hardware virtualization. Just like, you know, FreeBSD has a lot of that stuff. Yeah, so that's what I like to use. So I do virtualize like Linux when I need it. So for instance, like my Plex server runs inside a hardware virtualized Void Linux instance, which is running on top of the Illumos kernel on the actual hardware. So that's how that's set up. Actually, I don't know if I can see this on my terminal. I would love to show you guys. It'd be kind of fun to see. I just don't know what's on here. This might be too hard to do. Can you put a DNS server on a Raspberry Pi at home, or do you need something fancier? Raspberry Pi. I would assume any sort of modern Raspberry Pi can handle a DNS server. DNS server is like nothing, like absolutely nothing. It could probably do DNS, DHCP. In fact, now that I'm thinking about it, I think Pi-hole is like a DNS block list that runs its own DNS server, which is like advertised for the Raspberry Pi. So yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Where do you host / share your projects? GitHub. Typically GitHub. If they're private, like if I don't want to share them anywhere, I just have them in a directory on my storage server that I clone over SSH, so they never actually touch the internet. But I use GitHub for everything. I mean, if you go to this website up here, ysap.sh, that's literally my website. There's a link to the source code for the actual website itself, and it's all on GitHub. So yeah, it's funny. I get comments on my video. They're like, "Oh, you should put these scripts up somewhere." I'm like, "They are. They are on my website." I have like 37 episodes or whatever of You Suck at Programming. They're all in a GitHub repo with all of my notes and all of the scripts I ran. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I can even share this. This wouldn't really make much sense. Too much. Maybe I'll share the terminal. We'll see. Is it possible to make an OS from scratch solo? I mean, solo? It'd be incredibly hard, but Terry Davis wrote Temple OS, so I mean, the answer has to be yes. Like, yeah. My webcam just blinked at me. I have no idea what that means, so hopefully it doesn't just shut off for whatever reason. Let's see. I like your ceiling. Thank you. I put it up myself. When I moved in, it was all painted wood paneling. 4x8 sheets of it, 4 feet by 8 feet. So I ripped them all down, brought them to the fire pit, burned them, and I was left with some drywall with a bunch of paint on the ceiling, and it looked terrible. So then I bought these, probably 1x4. No, they're thinner than that, very thin. They look like 2x4s by 8. Little pieces of wood, tongue and groove, and I just stained them and hung them up. A little bit of glue and some tack nails, and it took weeks, but it looks great now. It's been like 8 years, and they're beautiful. Guitars and bass guitars, which do you prefer in your favorite band to play to? I like guitar, but bass is cool, but I like guitar. Typically I'm just kind of like writing my own stuff or doing like video game remixes and stuff on it. Stance on GPL versus more permissive licenses. I choose the MIT license. I don't want to get too philosophical about it. I think the GPL is a little bit weird. It's like, here, I let you use my stuff for free, but free comes with a lot of conditions on it. Whereas I take the more like, Here it is. You know, put my name on it. That's it. That's my approach, but I don't judge others for using different licenses. Your lore is mad interesting. I don't know about that. I collect hobbies. That's what I do. Let's see. Do you like ZSH? It's fine. I use Bash. Less or more? Less. How do I fine tune a text generation model to be a conversational AI? I have no idea. I don't know how any of that stuff works. I guess all my questions are ignored. Don't take it personally. This chat is impossible to read and it's littered with join notifications. So go ahead and just ask your question again. And I'll see if I can actually see it. But yeah, don't take it personally. This interface just sucks. I'm not trying to ignore people. What inspired you for the name You Suck at Programming? There's a series on YouTube called You Suck at Photoshop. And that is what inspired me. I thought it was so funny. They're like probably 15, maybe 20 years old at this point, but they are hilarious. Like, go watch them if you haven't, or at least watch the first couple episodes. Oh my God. Photoshopping his marriage certificate into the van. It's so funny. They're so funny. And they've aged surprisingly well. Like, they're still just as funny to me. I could be looking through nostalgia glasses, but that's the truth. Is Java the best language for AI? Again, I have no idea. I'm not an AI guy. Not an AI bro. I don't really care about LLMs or machine learning. Like, I just don't care about them. What's your typing speed? At my best, I think it was 115. Now, if I were to do a typing test, I think I get between like 80 and 90 words per minute, that is. I type on Dvorak keyboard. The keyboard layout, that is. I'll have to scroll the chat too. Sometimes it just stops scrolling. That's super cool. Let's see. Favorite programming language? I mean, I'm going to have to say Bash because of the channel I'm on. But honestly, it's like different languages are good for different things. So Bash is like my favorite like scripting language, obviously. C is my favorite because it's everywhere and it will run pretty much everywhere. Rust is my favorite because it's been so much fun to write. I like the ownership model and the borrow checker. Crates are amazing. So Rust, C, and Bash, just like an amalgamation of all those. If you don't care about AI, do you even care about me? Try not to rope your identity into things. Yeah, that's just a recipe for being disappointed. I can care about you and not care about AI. I'm capable of that. Just followed your YouTube. I like how the website pulls up in terminal. Very cool. Isn't that awesome? Yeah, that's why if you just curl this website, that's my website. You can also go there in your browser. It'll look exactly the same. Actually, I think it's slightly different. But, yeah. How'd you get the virtual camera for Insta? Very easily. You go to Instagram on your web browser, on your computer, and there's a button for create or post, and the option to go live is there. When you click it, it gives you a stream key and a stream URL. It's no different than going on Twitch or YouTube or whatever. So I took that, put it into OBS, and here we go. I got my studio mic. I got my good webcam. Like, this is awesome. Let's see. Excuse me. Like I said, I think I'm getting sick or something, so excuse the voice. I'm a computer science student. I'm scared of terminals. I didn't grow up around tech, and my first computer 2 years back. I can understand simple codes in Java, C, C++, but terminal is terrifying. Yeah, anything's terrifying when you first see it. Just the more you use it, the more comfortable you'll get with it. Like, that's it. Let's see. Yeah, I wish I could show more of this, but here, I could show a little bit. So like right now, this terminal is logged into my Illumos server. This is my storage server. So I can do a Z-adium list, and this will list all of my zones. So there'll be a lot here. And these are like, think of these, they're virtual machines, effectively. Some of them are software virtualized, some of them are hardware virtualized. So for instance, Plex is running through here. And it's running in a beehive, and I give it 2 gigs of RAM and 4 virtual CPUs. So I can log in over here, but I can also just SSH into Plex, and there we go. Now we're in a virtualized instance of Linux. So as you can see, it's Linux here, but this is running like through my virtual machine. So that's kind of how I have my setup at home. And then because of that, I have ZFS. So I can do like a Z pool list. And we can see that I have Goliath and I have RPool. Goliath has 65 terabytes of raw space. RPool has 3.62 because it's a mirror of 2 drives. So yeah, downstairs I have 20 4 terabyte SAS drives is what my storage looks like. Let's see. I disconnected earlier. Do you have a TUI framework, N-curses, etc. recommendation? I made the most basic Qt app, and I think a terminal app would be better. I just want a clean file tree. I've never used N-curses myself. I don't bother writing like TUIs. I never really have. I know there are some cool ones. I think Rust has a really cool one that people like, and I'm completely blanking on the name. But if you Google like Rust crate TUI, there's like it's probably going to be the first result that people really like, and it seems really, really useful. Out of curiosity, why not use Linux for the host hypervisor? Linux is not my favorite. I don't know. I'm going to have to make a video where I explain this because my answer to this will actually be kind of long. But yeah, any short answer I give is going to sound punchy and it can get clipped out of context. But the truth is, like, I like using Illumos over Linux because it's more mature and doesn't break things as often. All those are incredibly loaded, and I'm going to get people coming at me for saying that. So I'm not here to argue that point. I'm not going to argue that point here. I'll make a video where I discuss it, but those are my raw feelings when it comes to it. Also, I mean, native ZFS, native dtrace, native zones. Like I'm comfortable and familiar with all the technology. Let's see. Any Linux book recommendations? I've been using Linux for 5 years now, but I think I haven't worked collaborating on the terminal yet. I don't know of any good book recommendations. Yeah, nothing I can think of. I guess wait until 2025 when I make my bash course. That's an insane amount of memory. Yeah, this is my storage space. So 65 terabytes of hard drive and stuff. My memory, what am I on? pertconf grep mem 262. So I have 256 gigs of RAM, actual 256 gigs of DRAM in this machine. Favorite IRC client? I haven't used IRC in a while, but when I did, it was IRSI, IRSSI, I think is how it's spelled, and then WeChat, WEECHAT. What's your OS of choice? Illumos. System D is an abomination, and I will die on that hill. I mean, that's fair. I get where that comes from. System D is not for me. I don't try to jump on the hate train when it comes to it, but it's not for me. That's why I use Void Linux, and I'm also not against frameworks. I use Illumos, and we have SMF. I'm not saying it's exactly like System D. There are fundamental differences, but I'm not against a service management framework, is what I'm trying to say. You can sew free-h though. Can I? Does Illumos have the free command? Or is that not portable? I should probably make a video on that. But yeah, remember, this is an Illumos machine. Sun OS. So I'm not going to have the stuff that you guys are talking about. Also, if it's not clear, what I'm saying is this. Illumos, that's the name of the operating system. That's the name of the kernel. I'm technically running OmniOS on top of it. So like Linux has a kernel and Ubuntu would be a distribution. Illumos is the kernel and I'm running OmniOS on top of it. What is it? OS release? Yeah, let's see. OmniOS. There you go. I think I wrote an OS release command. Oh, I did. Oh my God, I'm awesome. I should probably put that command somewhere. It's just a command that parses that file and prints out whatever thing you want from it. Yeah, it's not Linux. It's just funny because when people see me run commands and they're like, you can just use this command, you can just use this command. I'm like, those commands don't exist. What's another one? Like cat proc CPU info? Like that's not here. On an Illumos proc file system, we just have PIDs. There's no textual representation of what the system knows about here. Proc is for processes. So it's very well organized. But because of that, if I want processor info, I need to use PSR info. This will get me information about my processors. So I can see like, oh, we have 32 cores and 64 virtual processors. So this machine has, 64 cores total? Like if I were to do HTOP, well, that looks terrible. But yeah, there's 64 if I were to run HTOP on it. How to exit Vim? Nice try. Not possible. Yeah, sorry, excuse me. I swear I'm getting sick, and it's no fun. I feel fine, like mentally, I'm just exhausted. But I have a lot of cool ideas for videos. Is there any other fun stuff I can show in here? I don't know. But yeah, for anyone just joining, here is my to-do list. This is stuff I want to get done when it comes to content creation. So my 2024 goals, obviously, there's only 2 months left, a little bit over 2 months. So I want to figure out multi-streaming. I would love to be doing this on YouTube as well as TikTok. I want to critique AI scripts. So people have emailed me scripts they've generated with AI, and I'm going to critique them. I want to brainstorm collab ideas. Like I said, I have one person I want to do a collab with. Well, I have a couple people I want to do collabs with. One person I'm actually talking to about it, so I need to brainstorm some ideas. I've just been busy. And my last goal is 15K subs on YouTube and 150K followers on Instagram. The Instagram one is done, so thank you all for following me there. YouTube, I'm at 12K subs, so we'll see if we can get 3K in a year. Could be tough. And then for 2025, I want to make a Bash beginner's course. I don't know what that will look like. It'll probably be, I'm leaning towards it just being a YouTube video or a series of YouTube videos. Maybe I'll put it on like Udemy or Coursera or whatever course program people use. I don't know. I don't buy courses. But yeah, I do want to make a Bash beginner's course, and it would be like from zero to hero. It'd be like, okay, you've never touched a terminal before. Like, here's how it works. And then at the end of it, you'll be actually like comfortable writing scripts and doing automation in Bash. That's my goal. And that, like I said, that could be a video. I'm thinking that'll be a couple hours. Like the video will be a couple hours. It'll take weeks to create that. And then Bash pure HTTPS request. That's a follow-up to my HTTP video. This is going to be significantly harder than an HTTP request in Bash, but the video will be legendary. That's what I think. That's what I think will happen. This is going to require a ton of research and a ton of work, and the resultant video will probably be hours of content. But it'll be fun. So let's see. Let's go back on live streaming. Enough filibustering. Use anything to remote into your Linux boxes? SSH Bastion, Teleport, Headspace. Right now I'm on my local network, so I can just SSH directly into anything. If I'm outside of my network, I use WireGuard. So I will WireGuard into my house, like my phone can WireGuard in, or my laptop will WireGuard in, and then it's basically like it's on the network. So I just SSH into things directly that way. But when I'm at my house, I can just like SSH into NS1, and now I'm in my name server. So like this is my DNS server, which is running on this is a Lumos, I think. DNS mask. Yeah, this is running on a Lumos, and then DNS crypt proxy. So this is how I have my my DNS set up. DHCP is also just a zone that I can log into, which I think is running ISE DHCPD. I don't know what it's running. So much for me knowing what's going on. Oh, it's just called DHCPD. Okay. DHCPD dashboard. I have a web interface for my DHCP leases. I can go quickly see them. And I have a notifier. So this is really cool. When a machine, oh, that was wild. When a machine gets a DHCP lease on my home network, any machine at all, I will get a notification on my phone, which is really cool. So if someone like shows up to my house and they connect to my Wi-Fi, it'll say like, this person connected. Here's their MAC address and IP address. It's like, that's super useful. Let's see. Looking forward to it. Awesome. You'll appreciate it. Any chance to collaborate with the courses for the lulls and experience? I don't know about collaboration. Let me think about that. I might want to reach out to some people to test it, to do like a preliminary, like, hey, run through this test, run through this course and tell me if there's any like things that I should improve. Let's see. I'm curious what advantages you have with pure Bash HTTPS requests. None. It's not. it's not something I would actually recommend people do at all. This is just to do it. It's no different than that guy who made a YouTube video where it's like, doing front end in C to, upset web developers. Like that's my goal here. It's just going to be a fun video to do X in Y where Y is not suited to do X at all. That's my goal. I did this all at my house. Then the wife had a problem one day when I was out of town. It's now simple again. There is something to be said for simple networking. I had my router die a couple months ago and I replaced it. And the whole time I was just completely dead in the water because one machine went down. I was like, so at that point I bought a backup like D-Link crappy router. And I'm like, okay, if everything fails, I can at least plug this thing in with the same SSID and at least get some connection out of it. So it's always good to have a backup plan. Like it totally is. Could I set up DHCPD notifier on a Raspberry Pi that I'm using as a Pi-hole? Pi-hole is DNS from what I understand. I don't know if it does DHCP. You would need, the way my notifier works, I wrote it, by the way. I wrote the notifier and I wrote the dashboard. The notifier reads the file, the dhcpd.leases file that the software creates. So the DHCP server writes a file out when it has new leases, and then this program scrapes that file and checks for new ones. So it would have to run on whatever whatever box is running your DHCPD server. Headspace works as an overlay for WireGuard. Haven't tried it yet though. Yeah, I've heard of all this stuff. I have a buddy who really likes what's it? Tail something? Tail scale? And there's also head scale. And there's Headspace. There's all these things. I don't know. So yeah, been meaning to look into that stuff. I just use WireGuard because like it just works, Let's see. That would rock for OpenWRT. Oh yeah, I used OpenWRT like a long time ago. Is the notifier code on GitHub? Oh yeah, probably. It's probably called exactly what it's called here, DHCPD notifier. It'll be on my GitHub. I'll put it in the chat. github.com/Bahamas10 and whatever else there, whatever the name of the project is. I haven't touched it in probably 10 years. It's probably written in Node.js. So it is what it is. I can't vouch for any of the code. I can vouch that it runs. I can't vouch that it's pretty. But it's super nice. The nice thing is I can see like when certain like IoT devices restart because I will get a pushover notification for them. And the cool thing is I have it send me a push notification to my phone, but the way it works is it just executes a script. So whenever a new lease is detected, it literally just runs a script. So you can have that script do whatever you want. So yeah. Yeah, it's cool. Last thing I got, DHCP lease from desktop, whatever. Got IP 10.0.1.157. Like it's really cool to see that information. Yeah. Okay. So let me do this. You guys are going to get some insight into how I do work, okay? Everything I do is through text files. Like literally people ask me what I use to take notes. This is how I take notes. I vim notes.txt. I know it sounds stupid and people are like, oh, haha, what do you really use? I'm like, this is what I really use. Live stream takeaways, Instagram chat sucks, better filtering, possible CLI solution, chat for multi-streaming. There we go. So I just write down my thoughts. That way I don't have to keep them in my head. Yep. What's your phone? iPhone 13 mini. Don't see it on the YSAP site. Don't see what? What don't you see there? Dot markdown. Yeah. So I start with a text file, and then when they grow up and I need something more specific, then I will convert it to a markdown file because a text file is a valid markdown file. So that is true. Some of my notes are actually just straight up markdown files. My resume is a markdown file. Like, I mean, yeah. Notify script. You don't see the Notify script on the YSAP website? That's correct. Yeah, it's not going to be there. The YSAP website should link to my GitHub, and then on there, my notifier will be on my GitHub. I never did a video on it or anything. But on my YSAP site, there should be a link to the source code, which will get you to my GitHub. And then when you get to my GitHub, search for like Notify or something. What's your thoughts on C#? Never used it. Never used it. Renaming all files that match a regex with sed. I'd be curious why you're renaming with sed. I would probably use just bash built-ins or something. You can match file names with a regex and then just use like parameter expansion to do it. Yeah. Also, here's something. Someone asked me about this, so I guess I could make a quick little video here going over it. Someone asked me how I would count files if I didn't do ls pipe word count -l. So for example, in this directory, we have notes.txt and to-do.txt. If we pipe it to word count -l, you can see we get 2 because there are 2 files in there. The problem with this is, why do we get 2? Because it seems like a weird question, but look at this. Look at this output. There's only 1 line here. So how did ls turn into 2? Well, I'm not going to keep you in suspense. We can just, oh, someone in the chat says for in ls star.txt. Don't do any of that. None of that syntax is correct. Don't do any of that. So here's what we can do. We can look to see why it's happening by piping ls to cat, and you can see that it will separate them by new lines when it detects it's being piped. This is no different than running ls1, which will separate them by new lines. So the question is, how can we count them? Well, we can do this, and this works for most cases. For most cases. The problem is, when does it break? Well, let's touch a new file. Let's touch a file named foo \n bar. You might never have seen the syntax. We're doing special characters in bash. So what happens now? When we ls it, you can see we have 3 files, but one of them has a new line in it. So what does that mean? If we ls and pipe it to word count -l, it says we have 4. That's because word count -l is not counting the number of files. It's counting the number of new lines. It's counting the number of lines. And that's how many lines appeared because one of the files actually had a line in it. So what can we do about this? Or actually, what does it look like? It looks like this. As you can see, it broke foo and bar into 2 separate files when it shouldn't do that. So the question was, how can we count the files? There's a bunch of ways to do it. I almost don't even know why you're counting the number of files in a directory, but who cares? That's the question. So I told someone, here's how I would do it. I would make an array, and inside the array, I would just put a star, because star will expand to every file in your current directory. So now we have an array of every file in my current directory. And if we echo that file, if we put a pound sign in front of it, we get the count, or the number of items in this array. So now we have to break the array using the @ sign and put quotes around it. And now we get 3 because there are 3 files in there. That's how I would do it. There are some gotchas with this. One of the gotchas is, what if we touch a hidden file? Well, guess what? This also doesn't catch the hidden file, okay? Because you would need ls-a or ls-cap a if you wanted to filter out the dot and dot dot. So this one thinks there's 5 now, when in reality we know there's 4. So how do we get that? There's a couple ways. How I would do it is like this. This we would get star, and we would get dot star, and then when we counted it, we would get 4, which is what we expected. 3 normal files and 1 hidden file. There is another way. If you want to do this in a script or something, you could probably wrap it in a subshell. But we can turn on a shell option called .glob. .glob makes it so globs will now also expand hidden files, or files that start with a dot. So all we need is this, but now that array will have every single file in it, including the hidden ones, because of .glob, and we can verify that it prints 4, not 3. There is also another one, this one's important, null glob, because if there are no files in the directory, that array will actually have 1 element in it, and that element will just be a star. So when you turn on null glob, it allows you to filter it out. This conflates an error with a 0, though, so be careful about this. If you're going to count the number of files in a directory, there's actually no good way to tell, was this directory empty, or did this directory not exist? If that distinction is important to you, there are ways of doing it, but typically that distinction usually doesn't matter when you're dealing with like a bash script. But just be careful of the way that bash can conflate certain errors. Makes it really useful to write really simple things, and it can make it very complex to write complex things. Yep. So there you go. That's my way of counting files in a directory. I'll make a proper video on this, like in a you suck at programming format. But yeah. Or find .pipe word count -l. Don't do that. Like, don't do that. That has the exact same problem. Like I said, it will just separate them based on new lines. So like, if we do this, like, we're getting the current directory as a dot. We're getting it's it's not good. You got to be careful with that. What do you think about Rust? I love it. Rust is great. Oh yeah, be careful with source. You have to use dot and not source. In Bash, they are alias to each other. If I run help source, I believe it says something about dot here. Or maybe it doesn't. You know what? It actually might be in the source code I'm thinking of. Yeah, it's not here. It must have been the source code. I think the source code mentions that like source is a bashism, but the dot command is not. So just something to be mindful of. And again, like a lot of my content is for bash scripts. So my goal isn't maximum portability with shells. My goal is maximum portability with systems. That's what I was asking. I was referring to the previous message. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Yeah. And don't get me wrong. For most cases, like even if I'm on a shell, I'm doing this. I'm getting a rough idea. Hey, we're good to go. My files don't have new lines in them. But if I were enshrining this in a script and I wanted something that worked for every case that could work in someone's system that I don't know what the files look like, then I wouldn't do it this way. That's all I'm ever really saying. Because like I'll get comments like, why would I do all this? I could just do this. It's like, yeah, you could just do that one-liner and get 99% of the way there. But if you want to be 100% secure, it takes a lot more work. Like no different than like adding the error checking where necessary or watching out for race conditions. Like, yeah, it's way easier if you don't have to worry about race conditions, but on the 1% chance that you lose the race, like you're in for a bad time. So, yeah. Excuse me. Sorry. Can we now print hello world, please? How's that? Let's see. Make sure I'm not missing anything in the chat. My bad if I'm missing your comments. It's just that this chat sucks. I think I'm going to say that till I die. Okay, you guys can't see what I'm doing right now. I'm literally inspect elementing on the chat to look if there's like some way to filter out messages. Okay, so every message is a div class, whatever, but all the classes are the same. Ugh. The classes are identical whether it's a message or an event. Oh, but they're different on the inside. Oh, this is useful. This one just has a div, and this one has a div with a role. Oh, yeah. Oh, this is cool. When you guys join the chat, I can't click your username. But when you type something, I can click your username. So with this information, I might be able to write like a Chrome extension or like a Firefox extension. And then I can filter out the join notifications looking at what the divs look like. Ha! That's cool. Okay, so I might be able to do what I want. This is just a nightmare. This is silly that there's no option on Instagram just to say like hide these or make it better. This chat just Instagram, come on. You guys are so close. Oh man, it is what it is though. All right, now here's the real question. After I'm done streaming here, should I jump over to YouTube and stream on their little shorts feed? I've never done that before. I don't know. I've never streamed on YouTube. I've streamed on Twitch before, like years ago. But I did video game stuff. Was never programming stuff. Get on Twitch. Yeah, it seems like a lot of people like Twitch. Do you know how I can inspect a front end to see how many requests I can make in a single Selenium session before I'll get blocked by a site? No. I mean, just unless I'm missing something, I think your question is from the front end's perspective, how can you know when the back end's going to block you? And the answer is you don't, unless the back end is nice and gives it to you. Like I've seen websites give it to you as a header where they're like, you know, how many requests you've done so far and how many you have remaining before they rate limit you. But that requires the back end to be something that you actually trust to give you good data. Other than that, I have no idea how to do that stuff. I know how to echo hello world. Trying to think, any bash stuff you guys would want to see on this tiny little terminal that I have. I worry about that. It's like, it's crazy tiny, so I wouldn't be able to do anything too complex. Oh god, sorry, I keep coughing on the mic. It's gotta be annoying. All right, this is actually pretty cool. So let's see. Yeah, I like using OBS. I can just turn on and off these things. So like, I can just put curl on the beam up there. That's pretty cool. What did you use to pull this off on stream? OBS. Yeah, I'm using all OBS. Yep. I want to set up Omni now. Yeah, OmniOS is great. I love it. It's a great operating system. Can you make a front end framework real quick? Yeah. Let me just go ahead and do that. Oh man, I've definitely done front end work. I mean, like I made my website decently front end, but now I've never done anything like complex, especially in the web realm. Can you show intercommunication between two scripts via name pipes? Sure, probably. Fave shell RC setup and any neat aliases or shortcut. OBS runs on Omni. Okay, OmniOS is the name of the operating system I use on my server, so that's what I'm SSH'd into over here. This OBS is running on my Mac. For OmniOS is server only. There's no like GUI or anything. You would run that on just a server machine. For like my actual desktops, I use like Mac, and I have like a Windows machine so I can play Fortnite. I could probably show name pipes. Yeah, name pipes are pretty cool, right? Here, let's do this. Make dir pipes, and then we should have cool. So we're in an empty directory. What can we do here? Well, I guess we have to make two scripts, right? Like a reader and a writer or something. What kind of communication could they actually do? That'd be useful. Let me think. Because I don't even really know like what useful things we can do with them. I guess I'll show the real quick example. Let's make FIFO. And let's call this our named pipe. What are you working on? This machine right now, I am on a machine called Void. It's Void Linux running in a hardware virtualization. How long are you planning on being live? Not very long. Probably going to call it quits relatively soon just because feeling a little tired, a little bit under the weather. So yeah, we can make a FIFO called named pipe, and we can make a script called like, I don't know, write to pipe. And this script will be super simple. We can just do a while sleep one, do date into named pipe. Done. So this will output the date command into the name pipe every 1 second. Sorry, I should mute myself when I do it. I just realized that. Let's see. So let's make that executable. So if we did this correctly, we can write this. We can put this in the background, and it will just write to the name pipe every second. So then we can cat the name pipe, and we should be able to get the date out of it whenever it was written to. And if we're too quick, cat will hang. So let's kill that background job. And cat hangs because there's nothing there. So let's change write to pipe. We'll say, whoa. What's my syntax? Why am I 4 space indents? Yeah, why is bash set to 4 space? Let's set bash to tabs, set shell to tabs. There we go, I'm a tab guy. So let's see what we got here. We can say echo write to pipe writing. I'm trying to think of something that would actually be useful. I think I do owe the people like a useful example of this. Let's do this. Let's sleep for 10 seconds, and then we'll do an infinite while loop, and we'll only sleep for 5 down here. Oh my god. There we go. So this script will sleep when it's first invoked. It will tell us that it's writing to the pipe. Then it will write to the pipe, and then it will sleep for 5 seconds. That's what it will do. Yep, and then we can write another script. Let's CP it read from pipe. So open up this script, and this script will read from the pipe. While true. What was it? and this thing won't sleep. There we go. All right, a little bit of a contrived example, but I'll explain what's going on. We have 3 files here. One is a named pipe. We created it using make FIFO for, first in, first out. We have a write to pipe script. What this will do is it'll sleep for 10 seconds, and then it will write the current date to the named pipe, and then it will sleep for another 5 seconds. So this will hang. This line will hang here until something reads from it. Luckily, we have this script called read from pipe, and all this does is read from that pipe and print whatever's in it to the screen, and it does this as fast as it possibly can. This script will hang until something's actually written to it, which is nice. So you can see here, I don't put sleeps in both of them. I'm putting the sleeps for illustration, but even though I'm illustrating this, only one of them needs to sleep. The original pub sub. Yeah, exactly. I don't need to put the sleep in both of them. I don't need to worry about that because one is blocking on the other. That's the beautiful thing about these. The cat will block, the write will block. Only when something's reading will something actually finish writing to it, which is super nice. So we can write to pipe, put that in the background, and we can read from pipe. Actually, if we write to pipe, I think in 10 seconds we should get a message. There we go. So it's written to the pipe now, but it's running in the background. So let's read from pipe and run this, and then we'll get both scripts output to the screen. And I must have put a typo somewhere. So this is annoying. These are all being written to the screen, so I have to kill both of them. So I'm typing in kill. You can't see it, but I promise you I'm typing it in. All I typed in was kill %%. Kill %1. There we go. Jobs. Okay, cool. I think I put a typo somewhere. Named piped. Yeah, I put a typo here. That should be named pipe. So that's cool. That's how you deal with an accident there. So let's see. Let's save this. Oh yeah, the other file. Named pipe. Cool. So let's write to pipe. Put that in the background. Let's read to pipe. Put that in the background. And I'm going to clear the screen. And in 10 seconds, we're going to get some information to the screen, which will be really cool. Cool. So take a look at this. Write to pipe, that program wrote to the pipe. And then we actually saw the date because we read from the pipe. So you can see that the word reading comes up right away. It's trying to read the pipe, but only after this thing writes to it do we get the date. And then we go into another sleeping loop. So the reading is sitting there blocked. So what happens if we don't read at the same time? Will it be queued? Yes, that's exactly what's happening. As you can see in this set of events, reading is happening right now. Like it's literally stuck reading and it's waiting only until something writes to it. As you can see right now, it wrote to it. So the thing that was reading was able to get the data. So it is stuck reading. It doesn't matter that it read early. It's stuck reading. It cat the file. That cat command is hanging. It's not doing anything until something writes that pipe. So yeah, I mean, this is like the OG pub sub. I'm sure there are uses for this. I have not really found my own using bash scripts. Other processes, yeah, definitely. It's really cool to have like a daemon written in some language be able to signal back to some executing script that it's finished like setting up sockets or something. But there are other ways to do it. So, but there's plenty of cool things you can do with this. Named pipes are really cool. I'd have to look into it. I think systemd does something with like sockets and socket activation. It's a very similar idea, but sockets obviously are different than named pipes. Yeah, I'd have to look into that more. I say it's a very similar idea. I actually have no idea. I'd have to look into it. But yeah, this is a cool way to like signal from one process to another and actually transfer data. So like if you've ever used like a semaphore or something, similar idea between threads, we can do this between processes. The only difference is this file is actually a file. The name pipe lives on the system. So I know like, I think Nagios is a monitoring software. The way Nagios works at the end of the day is there is a named pipe waiting for commands. So for you to talk to Nagios, to use the Nagios API, you write to that pipe and then it spits you information back, which is really cool, like really cool stuff. Of course, there's limitations to things like this. You can only really have 2 processes talking to us. It's not like a socket that can have, multi things connecting to it. This is pretty much for process 1 and process 2, and that's it. But yeah, super cool, super useful. So as you can see, this thing's just kind of chugging along, and it will keep going until I quit it. Yeah, this will be quite useful. That's awesome. Yeah. Let's see. Let me kill these. So yeah, now that we're in this, like I have a prompt here, but as you can see, every 5 seconds we're going to get some information to the screen because of the background processes. I can type jobs and I can see both of them running. I can kill %1. That's what I keep pressing Control L to clear the screen. So kill %1, kill %2, and I run jobs, and you can see there's nothing there now. They're both terminated. So that's how you deal with it. Yeah. So yeah. Cool. He replaced Nagios with Prometheus. Yeah, I've heard of it. I've never used Prometheus myself, so I don't know what it's like. This is neat. The video on my Instagram feed looks like it froze, but I can't tell if the stream froze or not. So that's really cool. I guess I could refresh the page. It probably wouldn't hurt it. Yeah, sorry, excuse me. Yeah, I was planning on ending stream anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead and refresh this page. This is neat. I can't tell if this is actually streaming or not. According to OBS, it's streaming. According to the website, it's not. If I were to make a live video here, will it detect that I'm live already? It won't. So that may have just crashed. Well, if anyone can still hear me, thanks for tuning in. Otherwise, I'm heading out. See you, everyone.